At the stove, potatoes hiss in a hot skillet, yet stay pale, soft, and shiny with oil. Supper waits, and every minute makes the pan look worse. Greasy outsides, stubborn middles, no golden edge. If you want practical food stories that turn humble ingredients into good supper, subscribe to the channel. The tempting answer is more oil or a hotter flame. But why do some cheap potatoes emerge crisp, fluffy, and dry while these absorb fat first? What must happen before they reach the skillet? The fix starts before the oil ever touches the potatoes. I am the cook here, and the fix is simpler than it sounds. You do not need a special pan or costly potatoes. Control moisture before the skillet works. Crispness is not mainly an oil problem. It is a timing problem. A raw potato cannot cook its wet center and build a dry crust together. We will cut small potatoes evenly, parboil them in salted water, steam dry them, then brown them in a heavy uncrowded skillet with about 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. The onion waits until late after the crust begins. That is how cheap supper becomes mighty fine. Ordinary ingredients treated at the right moment. Before the trick can work, every potato piece has to enter the skillet on equal footing. Start with small Yukon Gold or red potatoes. Scrub them well, but leave the skins on. They add texture, save unnecessary work, and help these waxy potatoes hold their shape through the next step. Cut each potato into chunks or wedges roughly 1 inch across. Keep the pieces as close in size as you can. Thin pieces cook fast and burn early. Thick pieces stay hard in the middle. That difference turns supper into a scavenger hunt. The skillet fills with brown fragments, pale chunks, and somebody digging around for the one potato that is actually done. Even pieces cook through together, so every bite gets a chance at the same crisp edge. Slice 1 large onion thinly and keep it beside the stove, but do not add it yet. Onion brings flavor, but it also brings moisture. Its timing matters, and right now the potatoes need the dry heat to themselves. A russet can work if you handle it gently, but it is more likely to break apart during parboiling. Small, thin-skinned potatoes are more forgiving. They stay intact long enough to reach the skillet as real pieces instead of starchy rubble. This is the quiet preparation that makes the loud sizzle useful. With the pieces even, the next move cooks the center before the skillet has a chance to scorch the outside. Now place the cut potatoes in a pot and cover them with cold water by about 1 inch. Add a generous pinch of salt. Seasoning begins here, inside the potato, instead of waiting on the crust after browning. Starting cold matters. The pieces warm gradually from the outside inward, so the center has time to soften before the surface faces hot oil. Bring the water to a boil, then lower it to a gentle simmer. The water should move, not pound against the potatoes. Cook for roughly 5 to 7 minutes. Do not trust the clock alone. Test a piece with a fork. It should meet slight resistance, then enter the center. The potato should still hold its corners when you lift or turn it. You want tender, not fragile. Skip this step, and the skillet has to do 2 jobs at once. The outside can darken and drink up oil, while the middle stays firm. Go too far in the pot, and the pieces split, shed starch, and turn the pan into a rough, sticky mess. That is why the skillet should brown the potato, not finish cooking it. At this stage, the pieces should look pale, not browned. Lift them out gently, keeping each piece intact. They are tender enough for the plan, but still carrying the exact moisture that can turn a crisp supper into a greasy one. Now let them sit in a colander for at least 5 minutes. Do not tip them straight into the skillet. Residual heat is still working, driving surface water away before it reaches the oil. Wash the bottom of the colander. If water is collecting, spread the potatoes on a clean towel or paper towels and pat them gently. You are looking for a matte surface, not a glossy film with no puddle underneath. Then give the colander a careful shake or toss the pieces lightly with your hands. The edges should pick up tiny rough spots. Those scuffed edges give the oil more places to grab and brown. While they rest, slice the onion and measure the seasonings. This is useful waiting time. Resist the glossy pieces. Wet potatoes release steam in the skillet, cool the oil, and absorb more of it before a crust can form. Dry potatoes hit the pan with a steady sizzle. Their surface begins setting immediately. That small pause is where cheap potatoes stop behaving like a side dish that needs rescuing and start becoming supper. No special pan, no expensive ingredient, just the right treatment at the right moment. Now the surface is ready to sizzle instead of steam, and the skillet can finally do its job. Set a large, heavy skillet over medium-high heat. Cast iron is ideal, but stainless steel or non-stick will work. Let the pan heat completely before adding about 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. The oil should shimmer across the surface. If it goes into a cold skillet, The potatoes spend too long sitting in grease while the pan catches up. Add the dried potatoes in a single layer whenever possible. If they are packed tightly, cook them in batches. A crowded skillet traps steam, drops the temperature, and leaves the potatoes absorbing oil instead of releasing moisture. Now leave them alone for 3 to 4 minutes. That stillness gives the first side time to build a crust. Turn the pieces, then cook for another 8 to 10 minutes, stirring only occasionally. Constant movement scrapes away the very browning you are trying to create. Forget the timer if the pan tells you something different. You want a steady, lively sizzle, several golden brown sides, crisp edges, and centers that yield to a fork without feeling hard. Only then add the thin sliced onion. Cook it with the potatoes for 5 to 7 minutes until it softens and turns sweet. If it darkens too quickly, lower the heat. Adding onion earlier introduces moisture before the potatoes have protected themselves with a crust. Take the skillet off the heat before finishing with salt, black pepper, and chopped parsley. Early stirring breaks the crust. A cold pan produces pale potatoes. Too much food at once creates steam. The method is simple. Heat first, space the pieces, let the crust form, then bring in the onion. That is how a plain potato becomes crisp enough to carry an entire supper. And when you look at those brown pieces, the real culprit finally becomes clear. It was never the price of the potatoes. The villain was steam, not the potato, not the skillet, and certainly not the price tag. Parboiling handles the center, making it tender before browning begins. Then the potatoes need time to steam dry, so the outside reaches the oil ready to sear. Wet pieces force the pan to evaporate water before it can build a crust. More oil cannot fix that. It only gives moisture more fat to carry into the surface. That is the larger lesson. Humble food improves through timing and attention. Cast iron helps, but it is not magic. Once the first piece cracks and steams on the plate, the whole trick becomes easy to remember. Now the test is on the plate. Browned edges crackle, the center steams tender, sweet onion softens, and the finish is savory, not greasy. Remember, parboil briefly, dry completely, give potatoes room, wait for the first crust, then add onions late. Cheap ingredients need timing, not fancy equipment. Serve them beside eggs, sausage, beans, or meat and gravy. Do you serve yours beside eggs or alongside a meat and gravy supper? Thanks for watching. Next, 1 pan cast iron sausage and gravy. Keep potatoes dry and give them room.